Hello there everyone, Chief from the Archworks as per usual. A lot of people over the last couple of days have been asking me to put together a sort of how-to of the process and stuff behind all the drawing, and I figured let's just go ahead and try and do that, shall we? Warning ahead of time, this will probably be a multi-part series because I'm not going to sit here for an entire hour's worth of video explaining the entire thing. I will explain the entire thing, but I don't want to do it in a massive hour-long block, so I'm going to be cutting this down. I mean, it may not even take an hour, who knows, but anyway, I'm just going to do it step by step. So today it's going to be character breakdowns, construction, sketching, that sort of stuff. And I'm going to be giving you a brief overview of the programs and the tools and stuff that I use, and I'm also going to apologise for the lack of updates lately. Basically, I've been very busy with the holiday season. As you may or may not be aware, I run an Etsy store where I do couple portrait commissions and stuff like that, and that sort of picks up around this time of year, so I've had like 4 of those to juggle in between so I can get like my deadlines done and stuff like that. So that's why content kind of slowed down on the channel despite, you know, the influx in viewership and stuff like that, so apologies for that, but once I've got all that out of the way it will all go back to roughly normal. So yeah, brief overview. As you can see, I'm using Photoshop. It's Photoshop CC 2017. Oh yeah, you'll also notice I've got my mouse turned on for a change. Like, I figured if there's going to be any time I'm going to have to like, oh yeah, you know, just go over here and do this, you know, you'll want to see what I'm doing. So that's why I've got that on. So yeah, Photoshop CC 2017, it's the Creative Cloud version, it's the one you have to pay a subscription for, it's annoying, Adobe's a terrible company, blah blah blah. And then for recording, I'm using XSplit. I don't know specifically what version of XSplit because I've not updated it in literally years. It works the way I want it to. I don't really want to futz around with that too much, so I don't update it. I do that with a lot of different things, and you're probably wondering why I've got this open. This is OpenOffice. This is just it's just like a free software that you can write stuff in. It's just so I can have some prompts on screen to remind me to stick on track and stuff like that. So yeah. First of all, we're just going to reset that and then change that to a blue. Ugh, sorry if I'm also sound a bit nasally and I'm a bit like burpy and stuff. It's the season, everyone's got a cold. It's just how it affects me, so I apologise ahead of time. So yeah, we're going to open a new file. It's not going to be that. We're going to go to my preset A4 landscape. This is what I typically use for a lot of my Let's Draws. If not, then I'll obviously just flip it, which is as easy as going over here, image rotation, boom, there you go. But, you know, we're going to just switch that back. Oh, dang it. Okay, I'm supposed to be talking about the tools I'm going to use. Obviously, I am sitting in front of my Cintiq. It's specifically a 13HD, which may or may not mean something to you if you're that way inclined. It is a graphics tablet, obviously, but it is one with a built-in screen, so it's basically one-to-one like drawing on paper. A lot of people have come up to me in the past, some even have come from illustration courses at universities, and they've somehow managed to avoid ever touching a graphics tablet, and they ask me what's the biggest hurdle when getting into graphics tablets, and I tell them every time it's the disconnect, which means a lot of the time you'll be looking at a screen instead of what you're actually drawing, and people have to relearn how to do that. I, on the other hand, didn't really have that problem because I just sort of adapted to it easier. And I think it's because I'm kind of just geared towards being a digital artist more than I am a traditional one. But the Cintiq removes that. It's basically like, as I said, one-to-one like using paper. Because you can look directly at what you're drawing and it's, you know, it's not that far off. So we're going to just shrink this up here, once the brush down thing goes away, to 5. That's my typical sketching thickness. Let's just get a new layer going on there. There are shortcuts for all of this. I wish I knew them. Yeah, so that's my typical thickness. You get like quite a good range out of a 5. And what we're going to do is I'm going to find an image on my laptop. Anyway, so breakdowns. I should probably try and keep on track. I'm very sorry. This is what it's like when I'm unscripted, so you guys asked for this. Well, 3 of you asked for this. So anyway, character breakdowns is a simple thing where you basically take a character, which we are currently looking at right now. I'm going to use this to indicate. Yeah, we are currently looking at a character right now. And all we're trying to do with this, actually just probably go with a darker line, maybe a thicker one as well, is just break it down into its basic components. And by components I just mean shapes. So a skitty is just, you know, a few circles, a tube, and then a sort of ovalish sort of shape. You know, and a typical skitty only has like this going on. You know, it has none of the spikes, so that's why I'm not doing the spikes on it. And that's a skitty. You know, you've broken it down into its core shapes and components. That is, for all intents and purposes, the shape of a skitty. So that is a character breakdown. It's very easy to like teach yourself to sort of look at things this way. I've been doing it for so long that I've actually stopped seeing things as things and actually just see them as shapes. So that's essentially, you know, kind of what you have to do when you look at stuff. And for the purposes of my Let's Drawing, this is the reason I'm bringing it up, but it's not very important to the actual process. But for the purposes of Let's Draws, I have to look at a thing and then immediately be able to break it down into shapes. And I've tried to explain this to people in the past at like workshops that I do with kids, to just generally people who ask me how I do what I do. And I'm just saying, like, just break everything down into simple shapes. It's the easiest way to do it. Anyway, now that we've got that particular part explained, which hopefully didn't take too long, I'm very sorry. Again, like I said, I'm not the greatest when it comes to unscripted. We'll get on to actually sketching a thing, and I kept on going over in my mind, like, what exactly am I going to sketch, and I still haven't really quite decided, so I figured we'd just make up a thing, why not? So, the place where I usually start, and you guys have obviously seen this from the Let's Draws, is a head. So we're just going to draw a basic circle, or scribble until we have one, it's always the easiest, and that's our starting off point. We now have a head. And, you know, some artists, me included, would probably do this, and this is just a good indication of, like, well, that's the facing. Like, here is round about where you want your eyes, and the nose goes here, and the mouth. But, like, some other people take it way further than this, and they'll be like, okay, well, there's the top of the eyes, and there's where the mouth sits, and, you know, and that's also where the eyes are. And, like, that's too much for me. I just do that, and then I guesstimate where the rest of it's going to go. I'm not the greatest example of this. Like, please do not take away from this that I know what I'm talking about. I genuinely do not. Which is why it's so amazing when it was so amazing to me when people asked me how I do this. Okay, let's make that eraser just a tiny bit bigger. There we go. So yeah, we just want to get the rough idea of a circle going on there. And then, oh, this is probably an important thing for me to point out as well. Over here you'll see that we are on a percentage. This is obviously the percentage of the actual image that you're zoomed in on. So we're currently at 200, that's 100, so like the lines look as clear as they're going to look on Photoshop, unfortunately. But what I tend to work with is 33. 33 is for some reason just the perfect size for me to work on. I'm just going to leave that head a little bit bigger. And I don't know what it is about being zoomed in at 33. It's a very specific new thing to me, but I just tend to work better at it. So yeah, now let's think about a body shape. Let's think of a body shape I don't use particularly often. You know what? Let's do a somewhat more bulky character, because that's an interesting way to go about it. Let's just pretend I wasn't immediately going to just jump into it and not explain it. You don't really want, like, oh, you know, that's not bulky, and, you know, neither's that really, and, I mean, you could, no, you know, bulky is kind of broken down, for me anyway, into a couple of other shapes. So you get this for, like, your basic bulky chest, and then maybe you come down here with this for the rest of the torso, and there you go, you've got a bit of bulk there. Maybe we'll give him a bit of a pooch. And there we go. We've got a somewhat bulky looking character, and I think we're going to give him some tiny legs, because I kind of like the aesthetic of giant dudes with tiny legs. Or it could be a lady. We could suddenly change our minds and turn this into a lady, because it's digital. We can literally just change our minds as quick as this. You know, that's how fast you can make up your mind on these sort of things. Now, should we give them, yeah, you know what, giant arms. And we want to basically start that off from about where we think the neck's going to be. The neck feasibly really starts about here, so we want to start off our shoulders around about there. I'm so scratchy with my sketching and it takes a little while for me to actually erase what I've done. Okay. Well, we're just going to go with like this kind of shape for the arms. So it's kind of like a gorilla, like a very cartoonish gorilla we've kind of got going on here right now. And it's kind of working for me, I'm not against it. Okay. So yeah, we've got this kind of shape going on. This is almost becoming a character. And basically this is obviously not going to turn into a character straight away. And what I'm going to do is something I don't normally do, which is make a new layer, turn that one slightly invisible a little bit, or lower the opacity rather, and now we're going to work over this with maybe a darker color as well. So generally this is like your first pass, and now we're going to do a second pass. And normally I don't do this. Usually I'm just working straight at it from just one. It's hard to explain. Basically, I'm a bad artist. I just do, and I don't really think too hard about it. But if you really want to think hard about it, this is kind of what you should be doing. So yeah, we're just gonna block in the shapes of him a little bit. I think we're just gonna make his belly overhang a little bit, and we'll just keep that there. Yeah, that works for me. And then we'll bulk out his arm a little bit. Maybe like some super over the top shoulder meat. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, this is not really like the exact way you should be doing this. Like I said, I'm not very good at this kind of stuff. And it sounds like I'm being super like self-deprecating and stuff like that and being a bit defeatist or whatever, but genuinely, there are like not so much set in stone ways, but there are far better ways to be doing this, and I'm not like the one that should be showing you. Okay, and then we just need to figure out his legs. Oop, kind of like little chunky baby legs, what the heck? Don't know how I've arrived at this. Okay. Now we need to think about a head. What kind of head shape do we want? Because the circle is basically just there to show us where we want the head to sit. Like, usually what I would do is I would incorporate the circle some way into the design. Because if I wasn't planning on giving a character a circular head, I wouldn't draw a circle head. I would, I don't know, instead go, ooh, you know, square head. Like that sort of thing. Oh, why am I saving? Don't do that. There we go. It's what I get for using the keyboard shortcuts instead of my Cintiq. Okay. So at the moment he's got no clothes on, so let's figure that out just real quick. Like, we can afford to at least play around with a little bit of clothing design here. So yeah, just give him some shorts, because shorts are comfy and they're easy to wear. And maybe a vest? Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is not going to be the best character design I've ever made in my life. But whatever, we're going to deal with it. And then maybe we need to also draw him some feet, because without feet he can't stand up. And in fact, I just broke my own rule there. Okay, so speaking of my own rule, let me just actually go back to that. What I originally did there was I drew both of his feet facing different directions. Typically, feet don't do that. So what you want to do is you want to try and get the feet to sort of look like they're facing the same direction, but not quite. Like, it's hard to do with like super 2D looking images like I do, because cartoonist and all that. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a spike right there, kind of like a knuckle spike, like from Sonic the Hedgehog, like just two knuckle spikes. Because I've decided this guy doesn't necessarily have to be human, and that is something that you are free to just decide on the fly whenever you want. Let's give him some knuckle, like some tendon stretching going on there, and then we'll just do a very simple hand. I could do way better than that, but I'm not going to bother, because after all, this is only our second pass, and things can just be fixed in inking, which you will see in the next episode. You still need to think about a head though, G. Don't get too far ahead of you, will you? Okay, so, you know what? I'm going to give him some arm wraps on this side, because as much as people don't like that aesthetic, I love it. So, yeah. Okay. Kind of got a thing going on here. I'm going to give him some like little, like ankle braces as well. Maybe some stripes on his shorts. Like I kind of picture him as kind of a mutant boxer, like mutant, but like bare knuckle boxing sort of thing, where like people are allowed to die in the ring. Okay, so maybe. Okay, I'm trying to get very silly with my mouth design here. There's like, maybe we could shade it in to sort of imply that he's been punched recently. And then we'll give him like a super wonky nose. There we go. Alright, so like I said, we're not using the circle as his guaranteed head shape at the moment. We are just using it as an indicator of where his head is. So maybe we could move that nose down. Maybe make it a bit bigger as well. Make it sort of overhang the mouth just a tiny bit. Yeah, I'm actually kind of into that. Okay. And then give him like some frowny lines. And then, yeah, I'm kind of into where this is going at the moment. Okay. And then I think we're going to do like a Toriyama style no eyebrows thing, just, you know, lumpy mounds that indicate where the eyebrows could or should be. And then we're going to do this, and then that. Indicate that he might have been punched at some point. Maybe give him some cheekbone definition. Some funny looking ears. Maybe we'll give him horns. That might be a cool thing to do. So you can sort of see how like this whole process really is not set in stone. Like we have very much deviated from where his head was. But I think we've ended up in kind of a cool place with that. I think maybe he needs like some wild hair coming out of the back here. Like not necessarily on top, but like just like something like this. Yeah, I'm into that. Okay, so let's just drag both of those down so we can keep them in the same place. And yeah, like it's as simple as that really. Just coming up with a character is just one of those things that technically I guess you have to be sort of good at to begin with. Like being creative at the very least is a bonus, but you can teach yourself to think like this. You can teach yourself to do this sort of stuff, and it's not impossible. And I will hopefully maybe one day make a video that better explains all of that, but at the moment you guys just wanted to see the process, and that's what this is. So like I said, this is going to be a multi-part series. This is the end of part 1. Next time will be inking. I'll probably upload this a little bit ahead of time, and then I'll wait to see what the response is, and then I'll do the inking episode so that, you know, I've got you guys' feedback and stuff like that for it. But other than that, this has been this. Whatever you want to call this. I still haven't really got a name for the video yet. I will figure it out. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this, obviously likes and stuff. I don't know. Like I'm not very good at begging at this stuff yet. Begging for this kind of stuff rather. So yeah, hope you had a good time. Thanks for watching.